Tonight is honest in a way the day never is. In daylight, people perform. They stay busy. They answer messages, laugh at the right time, pretend they are fine, and hide what really lives inside them. But at night, all of that starts to fall away. The noise fades. The mask gets heavy. And the feelings they push down all day begin to rise again. So before you scroll, listen closely, because this may explain something you have felt for a long time, but could never fully name. Somewhere tonight, while you are trying to move on, trying to act normal, trying to tell yourself that certain signals meant nothing, someone younger than you is thinking about you again, not for a second, not in a random way, I mean deeply, quietly, repeatedly. The kind of thinking that returns when the room is dark and there is nothing left to distract the heart. They may not say it. They may not show it clearly. They may even act cold in front of you. But when the night gets still, your face, your voice, your energy, and the way you made them feel keeps coming back. Stay with me, because the reason is deeper than simple attraction. This is not about a passing crush. This is about the kind of emotional impact that slips into a person's inner world and refuses to leave. And once that happens, sleep becomes difficult, silence becomes loud, and forgetting becomes almost impossible. They do not think about you in a casual way. It is not just a quick memory and then gone. It lingers. They replay moments that looked small from the outside but felt huge to them on the inside. The tone of your voice when you were tired. The way your eyes seemed calm even when something deeper was hurting. The way your silence said more than most people's long speeches. They remember details you probably forgot the same day. The exact words you used. The pause before you answered. The strange peace in your presence. And what confuses them most is this. They never expected to feel so deeply pulled towards someone like you. Especially not someone who seems so hard to impress, so emotionally aware, so able to see through masks without even trying. That is why this connection stays in their mind at night. It did not start with surface attraction alone. It started with recognition. Something in them felt seen. Something in them felt safe. And for a younger person who has spent a lot of time around noise, mixed signals, shallow attention, and emotional games, that kind of feeling is powerful. Rare things always leave a mark. Realness leaves the deepest one. So even when they try to move on, a part of them keeps turning back toward you. And if this already feels personal, keep listening, because the next part explains why distance has not erased what they feel. What makes this harder for them is that you did not enter their life with force. You did not chase. You did not demand attention. You did not try to impress them every minute. You did not beg to be chosen. And strangely, that made your presence stronger, not weaker. People who are used to emotional chaos often become fascinated by calm. People who live around noise become curious about silence. Your self-control made them wonder about you. Your distance made them look closer. Your depth made them feel safe and exposed at the same time. And that mixture is hard to forget. Many people before you may have come with loud words and quick excitement, but you carried something slower, steadier, more real. That is what got under their skin. That is what stayed. Because the heart is not always moved by what is flashy. Sometimes it is moved by what feels true, by what feels grounded, by what feels like rest after a long season of confusion. So, when they lie awake at night, they are not only remembering your appearance, they are remembering the feeling around you, the emotional atmosphere, the quiet intensity, the sense that around you they did not have to perform so much. And that kind of experience can change a person, especially someone younger still learning the difference between being excited and being emotionally touched. Keep watching, because what happens next in their mind is the part they rarely admit, even to themselves. Part of them tried to resist this. That matters, because if they could have turned it off, they probably would have. They may have pulled away. They may have acted distant, slow, confusing, or strangely cold. They may have disappeared for a while and then returned as if nothing happened. But distance does not always mean a lack of feeling. Sometimes it means the feeling became too strong to handle. Sometimes people step back not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much and do not know what to do with it. A younger person can easily mistake deep emotion for danger. They can mistake vulnerability for weakness. They can mistake real attachment for a loss of control. So instead of moving closer, they retreat. Instead of speaking, they go silent. Instead of being honest, they act hard to read. But the connection does not disappear just because they stop talking about it. It goes underground. It becomes private. It becomes stronger in the quiet. That is why they keep returning to you in their thoughts. Because people are rarely haunted by what was easy. They are haunted by what awakened something unfinished inside them. And you did that. You touched something in them they were not fully ready to face. Maybe it was your steadiness. Maybe it was the sadness you carry without making a show of it. Maybe it was the rare mix of strength and softness in you. Whatever it was, it reached deeper than they expected, and now their nights keep bringing them back to what they were trying to outrun. This is where the connection becomes almost impossible for them to ignore, because it starts showing up in ordinary moments. They hear a song late at night and suddenly think of you. They walk into a crowded room, smile at people, talk normally, yet still feel a quiet emptiness because your energy is missing. They meet someone attractive, but the feeling does not reach the same depth, so their mind compares without permission. They scroll, distract themselves, work, laugh, try new conversations, maybe even start something with someone else, and still your memory returns. Fast, sharp, uninvited. That is how they know this is different. Ordinary attraction fades when something new appears, but emotional recognition does not leave so easily. It waits, it circles back, it speaks in silence. And at night, when everything slows down, they finally feel the full weight of it. They admit things to themselves they would never say out loud. No one made me feel this way before. No one reached this part of me before. No one made me feel both calm and exposed like this. That realization can shake a person, especially one who still does not fully understand their own emotional world. So if they seem inconsistent, that is not always because the feeling is fake. Sometimes it is because it is real enough to frighten them. And the more real it feels, the harder it becomes to hide from it when the lights go out and the room becomes still. They may not know how to express what is happening inside them. That is another reason their behavior can look strange. Their feelings may come out sideways. They stare too long and then look away fast. They feel jealousy and pretend they do not care. They vanish, then reappear. They watch your stories quietly. They notice small details and bring them up later as if it means nothing. They type messages and delete them. They imagine reaching out, then stop themselves at the last second. They want closeness, but fear what closeness will demand from them. Because deep emotion asks for honesty, and honesty can feel terrifying when someone has spent years hiding behind control. So every night becomes a battle between longing and fear. One part of them wants to forget you and return to the easier version of life. Another part cannot let go because what they felt with you was too meaningful. That inner conflict grows in silence. It does not fade. It sharpens. The human mind becomes obsessed with what it cannot fully resolve. And unresolved feelings become loudest at night when there are no more distractions left to bury them. So they replay your conversations. They wonder what you meant. They imagine scenarios where they finally say everything. They ask themselves whether you felt it too, and if you ever sensed mixed signals from them, this may be why. Not because the connection was in your head, but because they are still trying to understand a feeling that changed them before they had the language to explain it. There is also a deeper reason your presence affected them so strongly. You did not just attract their eyes, you touched hidden needs in them. The need to feel safe, the need to feel understood without having to beg for it, the need to be around someone whose energy did not feel fake, rushed, or hungry for attention. That kind of impact is powerful because it reaches past the surface and speaks to the parts of a person they usually protect. Your calmness may have reminded them of peace they never had. Your patience may have shown them a kind of care they are not used to receiving. Your emotional restraint may have made them curious in a way loud charm never could. What hurts them most is this: you changed something in them without trying. Accidental emotional impact is often stronger than planned seduction. It feels real. It feels pure. It feels impossible to explain away. So now, when they try to distract themselves, your memory keeps breaking through. A phrase you once said, a look you gave them, a pause in your voice, a moment that seemed ordinary but felt electric to them. These things return again and again because the mind holds on to what felt emotionally true. And if you are still here, listen carefully, because the next truth matters most. When a person starts connecting you with safety, meaning, and inner peace, they do not simply forget you. They begin carrying you in the background of their life, even when they try not to. This is why nighttime hits them the hardest. The day is full of escape routes, work, noise, other people, notifications, responsibilities. But night removes those shields. Night forces honesty. When everything gets quiet, they can feel the difference between temporary attraction and real emotional attachment. Attraction excites the body for a while, then it fades. Emotional recognition touches something deeper. It changes what feels meaningful after that. Once someone has felt truly seen, ordinary attention starts to feel empty. Once someone has felt calm around the right person, loud excitement can start to feel hollow. That is what they are wrestling with when they think about you before sleep. This is not just infatuation. It is the pain of comparison, the ache of knowing that something real entered their life and then became uncertain. So they lie there with your memory. They revisit your conversations. They wonder what would happen if they stopped being afraid. They wonder if your silence means you moved on, or if you are simply guarding your heart. They wonder whether the connection was meant to grow, or whether timing got in the way. And yes, they may never confess all of this clearly. Younger hearts often fear emotional exposure more than loneliness itself. They fear rejection. They fear looking weak. They fear discovering that the feeling was not returned with the same depth. So instead of speaking, they carry it, quietly, night after night. And the weight of that silence becomes part of the attachment. You may have felt some of this without proof. A strange pull. A sudden thought about them for no clear reason. A heaviness in your chest when their name appears, or when the silence between you feels too loud. Sometimes the heart notices things before the mind can explain them. Sometimes we sense emotional tension before words arrive. That does not mean every feeling is fate, but it does mean human connection can move beneath the surface in ways logic does not always catch right away. Unspoken feelings create a strange current. They linger. They return. They make people think of each other at odd times, and the longer those feelings stay unresolved, the stronger they can seem. That is why this connection may have felt confusing to you too. Because mixed behavior creates doubt, yet deep energy leaves a trace. You may have wondered whether you imagined the whole thing. You did not. Confusion does not always mean nothing is there. Sometimes it means both people feel more than they can comfortably say. Stay with me, because this next part explains why someone younger can become so deeply attached to someone older, even when they do not fully understand it. It is not always about age. It is often about what the other person represents. Stability, depth, safety, wisdom earned through pain. A person can become emotionally magnetic when they carry these things quietly instead of trying to display them. Younger people are often drawn to those who have been through pain and still remained kind. That matters more than most people realize. Hardship changes a face, a voice, a presence. It teaches patience. It deepens the eyes. It creates a kind of quiet strength that does not need to announce itself. And when someone younger meets a person who has suffered, healed in some ways, broken in others, and still carries warmth instead of bitterness, it affects them deeply. Because kindness after pain feels rare. It feels sacred. It feels trustworthy. They may sense the loneliness you never talk about. They may notice the tiredness behind your strength. They may feel the sadness you hide behind a calm expression. And strangely, instead of pushing them away, those things pull them closer. Not because they want to rescue you, not because they enjoy sadness, but because your humanity feels real to them. Your depth feels real. Your emotional survival feels real. In a world full of performance, that kind of truth is unforgettable. So their attachment becomes more than attraction. It becomes meaning. You begin to represent something in their mind that they have been searching for without knowing how to describe it. Comfort, honesty, maturity, rest. And once a person starts linking you to those feelings, your presence becomes hard to replace. That is why the night keeps bringing them back to you. You became emotionally important in a world where most things feel brief, shallow, and easy to lose. At the same time, this connection may confuse you because their actions do not always match their feelings. Sometimes they move closer and then suddenly pull back. Sometimes they seem warm, then distant. Sometimes their silence feels heavy enough to say everything and nothing at once. This contradiction can make you question yourself. But emotional immaturity often looks exactly like that. When feelings become too real, some people retreat to regain a sense of control. They fear vulnerability because vulnerability opens old wounds. It brings up fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough. So rather than face those fears directly, they hide behind delay, distance, or confusion. The problem is that hiding does not remove the feeling, it only traps it, and trapped emotion grows. That is why the battle inside them continues every night. Part of them wants freedom from this ache. Another part wants to hold on because what they felt with you was one of the few things that seemed true. They want relief, but they also do not want to lose the meaning of the connection. That is a painful place to live, and if you have ever felt invisible in your own life, if people admired the outside of you but missed the emotional world within you, then this may hit even harder, because being deeply felt by someone can awaken both hope and fear. Hope that you were truly seen. Fear that it still may not become anything clear. Maybe that is why this story feels so personal to you. Maybe you learned long ago how to survive without much emotional reassurance. Maybe life taught you to stay composed while carrying storms inside. Maybe disappointment forced you to become strong before you ever wanted to be. That kind of loneliness changes a person in quiet ways. It teaches you to hide pain behind calm. It teaches you to keep moving even when your heart feels tired. It teaches you not to expect too much from others. And that is exactly why your presence can affect someone more than you know. They are not only drawn to your appearance or your personality, they are drawn to the emotional intelligence you earned, the calmness you built, the softness you kept even after life gave you reasons to harden. They see that you survived things and still did not become cruel. They feel that you understand pain without needing to speak about it all the time. That kind of energy reaches people deeply, especially those who are still trying to understand themselves. So if they keep thinking about you at night, it may be because your existence interrupted their normal emotional patterns. You made them feel more. You made them look deeper. You made them question what love, safety, and connection really mean. And once a person starts waking up to that, ordinary attention cannot satisfy them the same way again. That is why they keep returning mentally to you, even when they know it would be easier not to. Over time, you become symbolic in their inner world. You stop being just a person they met and start representing something larger: safety, longing, peace, desire, healing, truth, the possibility of being understood. And symbols are powerful because the mind gives them meaning beyond logic. That is why they may look at your photos longer than they should. That is why they may write a message, stare at it, then delete it. That is why they may wonder late at night whether reaching out would change everything or ruin everything. They miss you in a way they cannot easily explain, because what they miss is not only your presence, it is the way they felt around you. It is the version of themselves that appeared in your light. The softer version, the more honest version, the version that wanted to stop running. And that ache is hard to escape once it takes hold. But listen carefully, because this next part matters if you are the one being thought about. Do not lose yourself trying to force clarity from someone who is still confused by their own heart. Their feelings may be real. Their nightly thoughts may be real. Their attachment may be real. But truth still requires courage, and courage cannot be pulled out of someone before they are ready. You cannot do their inner work for them. You cannot rescue emotionally unavailable people by loving them harder. And you should never reduce your worth just to prove that the connection mattered. Real love moves toward honesty. Maybe slowly, but it moves. It does not live forever in endless guessing, mixed signals, and emotional hiding. The right connection may take time, especially when one person is still growing, still healing, still learning how to handle depth without fear, but it cannot stay trapped in confusion forever and still call itself healthy. So protect your heart. Trust what you felt, but also trust what you deserve. You deserve clarity. You deserve effort. You deserve a connection that does not ask you to abandon your peace while waiting for someone else to find theirs. And still, some part of this story remains tender. Because maybe tonight, while you hear these words, that younger person really is lying awake somewhere, replaying memories of you again, wondering whether you sense them, wondering whether your silence means disinterest or caution, wondering whether life brought you into their path for a reason bigger than a temporary attraction. Some people do not enter our lives to entertain us. They enter to wake us up, to reveal hidden feelings, to change the emotional direction of our life. You may never fully know how much your presence shifted something inside them, how many nights your memory became both comfort and pain, how often the thought of you pulled them out of emptiness. And that is the strange power of a real connection. Even in silence, it can leave fingerprints on the heart that time struggles to erase. So, if this message feels like it found you at the right moment, do not ignore that quiet recognition inside you. Some connections arrive without labels, without perfect timing, without easy language. Yet they still matter, they still transform, they still leave something permanent behind. Somewhere tonight, while the world is asleep, someone younger may still be fighting feelings they cannot fully explain. They may still be carrying your energy through another restless night. They may still be trying to decide whether fear will win again, or whether one day they will finally let honesty speak. Maybe that day will come. Maybe it will take longer than either of you expected. But until then, let silence show you what words have not. Let distance reveal what was surface and what was real. And above all, stay aligned with your own value. Do not chase what is meant to walk toward you. Do not beg for what should be given freely. Do not shrink your heart to fit inside someone else's confusion. If this touched something hidden in you, then you already understand more than most people do. You know that some truths are not loud. They arrive slowly, quietly, one late night at a time. And if you felt this deeply, keep listening to that inner voice, because sometimes the heart recognizes a real connection long before life gives it a clear name. And somewhere in the silence ahead, another truth may rise, another memory may return, and another hidden part of this story may finally make sense.